All right, I'm very excited to have my friend and CEO of Real Estate Webmasters here, Morgan Carey. Morgan, how are you doing?
Doing good, my man. Doing good. We're over here on Vancouver Island. It's a little bit rainy. I could use a little southern weather, but other than that, doing great.
No, yeah, it's well, let me just start with your bio here, right? Because I know you have been in the business for a long time, CEO of Real Estate Webmasters. Let's see, you're named as one of the 200 most powerful people in real estate, according to Swanepoel, Inman 100 most influential people, top 40 under 40. And just a whole plethora of things.
Sponsored by Spyglass Realty. If you're an agent listing in another city or state, we will take great care of your clients and pay a referral fee. If you're an agent in Austin that's thinking of making a move, let's talk.
What I want to do is I want to start over and briefly tell people what it is you do now, and we'll go back to the start. Okay.
Sure. I don't think I qualify for the top 40 under 40 anymore.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I think you pulled that from your bio a couple years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm 42 now, something like that. Yeah, so Real Estate Webmasters, we were founded this particular iteration in 2004, but we actually go back to about 2001 in real estate. So around 20 years in the real estate space. Today, we're the largest custom agency in the world that does real estate marketing and technology. So our customers like yourself, are generally the top 5% of the market. We don't play in the whole agent space. We don't deal with sort of entry-level brokerages and agents and stuff like that. We kind of specialize on people who are really looking to accelerate, build their brands, do lots of recruiting, lots of lead gen. And so, yeah, we have, I think around 60,000 agents on the platform today.
Wow.
And yeah, just lots of really exciting things going on, and having a lot of fun with it.
So let's go back to where you grew up, and what is your story from say like high school to college and all that type of stuff.
Sure. Well, I didn't have much of a story in high school, but I grew up a foster kid here on Vancouver Island, and I lasted a whole 3 weeks in high school. The first time I got kicked out for doing what I needed to do to pay my bills because I was on the streets, and then I had a kid at 15, so I had a son at 15, and so decided to I took a vocational adult secondary training program as opposed to regular high school, and I did my 10 through 12 when I was 15.
Yep.
And then I got a job because I was a dad.
Yeah.
And when I was old enough to go to university, I enrolled in university. I started in molecular and cellular biology, and then I moved over to liberal studies and economics, and I finished off abroad over in Florence, Italy. I studied the 7 major disciplines of the Renaissance period.
Okay.
And so, yeah, had a lot of fun doing that. And yeah, I just, then I got into the internet pretty quickly after that.
So, what's interesting is I have not a super similar story, but, when I was 15, I was just a wild child. And, I actually
You still are, man.
yeah, well, a little bit less so now. It's more of a weekend warrior, and even that's spread out a little bit, but more of just not good at school, didn't like it, basically dropped out, got my GED, went to college, and just really started cranking out when I was about 25, making up for lost time. So it's very interesting. And when you were in Florence, when you came back from there, how did you get into internet marketing? Where did that stem from?
Yeah, so I actually came back and I took a job in a call center. The funny thing is I wrote my real estate license 30 whatever years ago, however long ago that was, and I was going to get into real estate, but I didn't have any experience selling anything of the legal variety, and so I thought I'd try my hand at sales while I was studying the real estate course, and so I took a job with MCI WorldCom. At the time, MCI was a big long distance provider, and we had a large call center here on Vancouver Island. And within a couple of weeks, I was the #1 salesperson in the world selling long distance to Americans. And so I was that annoying kid on a dialer who, no matter what, I was going to sell you a new long distance package, and did super well, got a lot of notoriety for it. And then a local internet company called me up out of the blue and said, hey, we want you to come run our company. I was like, what? I don't know anything about running companies. I'm just some kid selling long distance. They said, well, we hear you're special and we want you to come run our company. And so it was a company called Performance Marketing. And so I took the job, and I did pretty well. They paid me well, and we did very well with the company. And then at the end of the year, I went to them and I said, I've made you guys lots of money. I want to raise. And they said no. And I said, cool, I quit. And so I quit, and I started my own search engine optimization consultancy called SEO Guy. And SEO Guy, I'm the original SEO guy. People say they have an SEO guy. I own the domain. And
Yeah.
a lot of fun. I worked with Adobe and Digital River. I got to go to Google a lot. This is back in, the late 90s, early 2000s kind of thing. And
Was that self-taught SEO?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So at the time, there was no such thing.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking late 90s here, right? Google, like back then we had Alta Vista, All of the Web, Inktomi. You know what I mean? Like people were just starting to figure out what the internet was.
Yeah.
And so there was no business called search engine optimization. In fact, it was a word that was really just starting to, be discovered, right? And so for me, I'm a giant math nerd, and so I love algorithms, and I loved computer programming and things like that, because it made sense to me. And I was also a single dad of 2 kids, and so I was home every night. You know what I mean? When I had the kids, it was what else are you going to do? You're on the computer, you're on the ICQ chats, you're on the MSN chat, whatever. I really found a love for communities and forums and stuff like that, because, and in fact, Real Estate Webmasters was started as a forum. I don't know if you know that, but because I was lonely and bored and interested in the internet,
Yeah. So from that, you started Real Estate Webmasters, is that right?
Yes, the original company was called realestateoptimization.com because,
Okay.
well, not from that. So an SEO guy, I became the #1 lead generator for the University of Phoenix. And so that was, again, early 2000s kind of thing. And so I had done exceptionally well with my own properties. So I ranked #1 for online degrees, online colleges, et cetera. I got millions of visitors. And so the company that managed the lead generation program for them came along and said, we want to buy you out, right? And so I said, sure, write me a check, and they did. And so that came with a non-compete in the education space. And so I figured, wow, I just did really well in a niche market, right? Yeah. On my own. And now I can't work in education. What should I move on to? And so I just bought a bunch of real estate because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a wealth builder. And I was going, yeah, I'm ready to start my journey. I love real estate. Everyone loves real estate. I think it's sexy, right? And so, but I didn't just pick real estate. I had a couple of real estate customers already, but I bought law webmasters. They basically looked at all the most expensive keywords out there that I knew I could compete for. So I bought like law webmasters, mortgage webmasters, real estate webmasters, etc. I was going to go do this in all of the industries.
Yeah.
But I started with real estate because I had a few, like back in 2002, 2003, I had clients like Gary Ashton, who's the current #1 team leader in the world for RE/MAX and still a real estate webmasters customer. And so I figured, let's start with real estate because I like it and I have some customers there, and I never left real estate. So I'll get back to that law stuff some other time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so I just remember being in a class with I think it was Max Avenue, or before they were a brokerage, right? And I remember them, and then gosh, this was 12 years ago. Okay, it was so long ago, and I know that they were. The guy they were talking about, I didn't know, Jim Olenbush is a good friend of mine now, but he's like, yeah, you should watch what Jim Olenbush is doing. And that's how I got turned on to Real Estate Webmasters. I don't know if you know this, my sister's Dina Davis, and she went out to one of your things.
I've met Dina. She came to Vancouver Island, I think.
Yeah, right.
I did not know she was your sister. That's hilarious. She's married to Monty, right? Yes.
And so you had, I think at the time you had, a lot of Austin people, Jim and my sister and Jonathan Boatwright. And then also, it was like Chris Lindahl, Justin Haver, And
Yeah, all the big Remax guys. Yeah. So Gary, Chris, Justin, all those guys were all with us. And yeah, lots of Austin people. We had brokerages, you know.
and you were like 25, right?
Well, I'm 42 now. So yeah, if it was 12 years ago.
No, this is longer than that. Well, okay, you're right. About 12 years ago. Okay.
Well, yeah, because I've known Jim Olenbush for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? So Jim, interestingly, Jim, before he was ever our client, was one of our community members, right? Jim is actually one of the OG kind of, like he didn't need me.
Right.
He was an SEO person himself.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
And so, yeah, so Jim and I used to chat, and we used to harass people on the advanced access forums and stuff, right? So Jim and I became friends online well before Jim became a customer. He was crushing it. He brought IDX to Austin before we even came there.
Right. And so right around 12 years ago, how big was your company at that point?
12 years ago, I'm not sure.
I mean, how many employees do you think you had?
Less than 40, I'd say.
What do you have now?
Only about 70, actually. We've been as large as 180.
Yep.
But, you know, in the last couple of years, we've taken the opportunity to sort of focus more on the enterprise side of things. And of course, with COVID and everything else, we've really, you know, we do a lot less agency work now and a lot more software work. So we're definitely, I think we're around 70 maybe.
Okay. And so I know during this, was it this time, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years ago, you were on Dragon's Lair. Is that right?
Dragon's Den, yes.
Dragon's Den, which for Americans that may not know is a lot like Shark Tank, right?
It is Shark Tank, yeah. So guys like Kevin O'Leary and Robert Herjavec, they were on our show before Shark Tank is just the American version of Dragon's Den. That's right.
Okay. And what happened with that? Tell me that story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I went there and, you know, we pitched REW and we got the largest valuation in reality television history, even to date. So
wow.
we were sub 10 million at that point in revenue. We were just approaching 10 million in annual revenue. And we got offered a $40 million deal. We ended up doing a deal on the show, like did a handshake with two of the dragons, Michael Weckerly and Jim Treliving, who actually lives in Texas now. He lives in Dallas. We didn't do the deal with those guys, though. Through due diligence, we decided that it wasn't for us.
Yeah.
And I went on to do a business partnership with Barbara Corcoran instead.
Oh, wow.
Who everyone knows from the Shark Tank. Yeah. So Barbara and I were partners for a long time. Okay.
And so when you and I officially met was in Vegas too?
No, it wasn't Vegas. It was in San Francisco, because we went to karaoke at the Silver Cloud.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot about that. Okay. me and you and Jonathan went.
And Jonathan, Deirdre, you, me. Yeah, it was a crazy night.
Yes, and I lost my phone and had to fly back, missed my flight the next day, had to fly back using my iPad. It was a total mess. That was a fun night. I forgot about that.
That was, yeah, I love the Silver Cloud. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I wasn't a customer then, and then we became customers. Well, I was reaching out to you beforehand, and that's when we met your wife, Carly, and they got along. My wife and your wife got along really good. I think that was your birthday.
Yeah, Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another. Yeah, it was another fun time. So tell me, what is your company like? First of all, tell me, what mistakes have you made along the way? I mean, as an entrepreneur, we're so full of mistakes. What are some of the things you reflect back on, and not that you wish you'd done differently, but that, you know,
no, man, there's mistakes we make that we do wish we'd done differently, right? Is you know, and speaking to all young people, but I think even more specifically to young men, you got to be careful with success, right? Especially in real estate, because it can come quickly, right? Money can come quickly, notoriety can come quickly. And, you know, that happened to me too. Like you said, I was in my 20s when I was a millionaire before I was 25 kind of thing, right? And I think it can get to you. You know, our egos can get the better of us, and we can forget where we come from, and we can forget some of the customers and friends that got us there. Right.
Yeah.
And so if I could go back and do things better or differently, I would try to humble myself a little earlier.
Yeah.
Right. You know, because it's tough, man. It's tough. It is, when you're on stage and you're on TV and stuff like that, it is hard not to get drawn in by that. And,
yeah.
I think that's personally, I would want to go back and maybe humble myself a little more, maybe work a little less. I love my kids. I have 2 kids, and a stepdaughter, and I worked a lot because of the appeal.
Yeah.
All the money, the more I worked, the more money I got, right? The more I worked, the more attention I got. And I lost a few years with my kids. And I mean, I was there when I was there, but I mean, I'd spend 4 or 5 days out of the country every week.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Just hustling.
Exactly.
What do you think for like, obviously you worked with a lot of successful real estate people. What do you think the most common denominator between them is?
Same problem I just talked about. It's working too much.
Yeah.
Honestly, work ethic, man.
Yeah.
There's no secret sauce, right? It's tall, short, skinny, fat, good looking, not good looking, whatever. None of those things are common denominators in successful real estate people. When you look across, it doesn't matter. There's not, the characteristics aren't there. What is there is the work ethic. When you look at any of those top, you said Justin, you said Chris Lindahl, you said Gary Ashton, you said Jonathan Boatwright, etc., and yourself as well. You all have this amazing work ethic.
Yeah.
And it's no secret.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys have been, I mean, especially you from a very young age, has been in the forefront of real estate technology before people were even talking about it. What do you think is the next big deal for real estate technology?
Well, it's not iBuyers, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Right.
Well, here's the thing, Ryan, is that I think COVID has really sort of reset the clock in terms of what the next thing will be, right? Because I think there was a path towards VC domination prior to COVID, right? Venture capitalists were looking at, backing companies like Zillow, backing companies like Compass, EXP going public, etc. All the VC dollars looked like they were going to come in and just squash the little guys.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it looked like. I don't think that's the case anymore.
Nope.
I think that COVID has made the world far more about relationships again, which is wonderful, right? And people, there's a lot more apprehension, there's a lot more fear, there's a lot more need for personal guidance, right?
Yeah.
I think that is a wonderful renaissance in itself of the real estate industry, because it's no longer about money or just the most amount of money for my home anymore. It's like, okay, I need to feel good about this move. I need to know where I'm going. I need somebody to be that professional guide. And so I know you asked about technology, but before, I think I need to talk about the real estate industry. And that is, I think the real estate industry has a second chance in its traditional form, in its brokerage, high value, high relationships form. So technology is, I believe, the best use of technology is to enable that process, is to make it more efficient for brokers like yourself to be able to manage those relationships and, stay in contact, educate, inform, support, etc. Yep. And so I think the role of, or the future of real estate technology short term for gain is to leverage your CRM, leverage your different contact points, etc., and embrace the fact that people want to hear from you right now.
Right.
That's always the case.
Yeah.
Before, I want the most money with the most convenience, right? That was the Zillow promise.
Yep.
Right? I just buy my house. Cool. Right. Now I do not want to sell my house unless you can convince me I'm going to be okay.
Right. Right. And it's funny you said that about the industry with, venture capital and, all these acquisitions that were happening, because about 3 years ago, about the time we met in San Francisco, was a big turning point in my career, because I had about 12 to 15 agents, and the disruptor was a big buzzword in the industry. And then Compass was coming in and they were offering, all kinds of money. EXP was coming in, and just like you said, we thought they were going to crush the little guy. And I made a decision, because I looked into those, and I made a decision, I'm going to stay the course, right? I'm going to stay what I'm doing. And then the result of that was that it was the best thing. These other disruptors were the best thing that ever happened, because they eliminated most of my competition in the next couple of years from that, 15 to 40 agent. Now we're at 70. That like I had no competition. Next, I got like one competitor at the time, right? Now I see there's a couple of younger guys that are coming in that have, 25 to 40 agents. but like life goes on and you're never going to crush the independent spirit of an entrepreneur. So it's funny that you say that. When it comes to what you guys have going on and what's next in your world, I know you're always innovating. What do you see happening? What can you tell us about what's going to happen in the next couple of years with Real Estate Webmasters?
Well, you know, I think it's more, so we launched our Renaissance platform this year, which we need to move you to, by the way. You know, it's been crazy because we went back, you know, like back to the story earlier where I was talking about things got, you know, really big, really fast, and there was all the stuff happening, right? The other thing we kind of lost sight of a little bit in the middle was our edge when it came to like our consultative approach and innovation, right? We were trying to be as big as fast as possible. And the idea behind the name Renaissance, it means rebirth, it means reimagining, etc. And like I said, we are less than half the size of our largest by design, because our focus is really now, how do we help the existing customers we have who have reached scale, people like yourself and Justin and Gary or whatever, how do we help them take the best advantage of this thing, right? I don't want 100,000 customers anymore.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have a few hundred good ones, right?
Yeah.
And so our customer base has changed a lot. Like we're launching, like we just launched Daniel Gale Sotheby's, there are 1,000 agents. Actually, just today, we're launching rismedia.com, which owns Real Estate Magazine. So like Real Estate Webmasters has gone even further in the direction of specialization. So instead of now focusing on the 5%, we want to focus on the 1%.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who are going to win.
Yeah.
Right? If you are a top 1% in your market, you're going to win. And so we've done things like we've hired great coaches and implemented an academy. We've got people teaching about ISAs and follow-up and technology and stuff. So for us, it's really getting back to the roots of a consultative company, but at scale, right?
Yeah.
And this year, we've been tracking, I just looked at this the other day. We've been 20 years in the business, but we've only been tracking in our project management system for a little under 10. We're going to cross 1 million tracked hours in our professional services group.
Wow.
So when I say we're the largest agency, you know, in real estate technology, you know, we've probably done, because the other 10 years we didn't track, about 1.5 million hours of projects.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys are doing SEO, SEM, AdWords, everything, right?
Not everything. We definitely bailed on social. Facebook doing with Facebook doing their you know, their special ads category. I mean, you've got companies like Bold Leads who basically just had to sell out for pennies on the dollar because they're not valuable anymore. So social media has lost a lot of the power it had from a lead generation perspective because you can't target anymore.
No, and even when you could target, you know, you're just showing up in people's feeds, you know. I mean, it's not like with Google AdWords, you're searching for something. Exactly. I mean, we had a major bust with that.
So it's, fundamentally, we are heavily focused on Google AdWords, you know, YouTube, you know, SEO, etc. We do larger campaigns for some really big companies where if they want to expand to like Bing and Yahoo and whatever, we can do that. But generally, we tell people the highest quality is Google, and there's more than enough volume to satisfy whatever you need. So yeah, we do SEO, pay-per-click, websites, CRM, IDX, and then just huge engineering projects.
Yeah, but I think the main thing you guys are known for is that your sites have always been built with an ease for SEO. Isn't that right?
Oh, exactly. Right. That's the innovation advantage, right? And it's not, I mean, SEO is like it's a positive side effect of the way we build things, right? Yeah. So like Renaissance, for instance, it's ADA compliant, which Google cares about. It's fully responsive, which Google cares about. And it's the fastest real estate website on the planet, which Google cares about. Yeah. So the funny thing about SEO is you shouldn't actually focus on SEO. You should focus on the user experience. And if you focus on the user experience, you'll win in SEO. And so people always think of us as the SEO company because we're so good at SEO, but really we're the user experience company.
Right, which is what Google is.
Exactly, right. So we focus on the quality of the product, and the rest takes care of itself.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to thank you for your time today. It's been an honor working with you. Since we started working with you, my company has exploded. I mean, right around that time is when things all started coming together, and obviously a number of things. But I knew at the time that I needed a site that was going to really make a difference and not just a platform one. And I have those too, right? And those are great relationships, you know that, but I wanted a really awesome product, and I get compliments on it almost daily. And I know it's a lot of what you guys have done. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. It's a pleasure to get to know your wife. Please tell her I said hello. And one more thing, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Well, first of all, before that, where are you at this year? Tell me what's up, man. What are you going to hit for 2021?
So we are tracking right now. We're at 325 million contracted and closed. That's up from last year at this time. We're at 100. Last year we finished at 163. So I think we'll finish at least 300, at least, because we're at 295 closed already, I believe. We went from 42 agents to almost 70. My goal is to get to 75, but we're not like, fog and mirrors or we're giving pulses to get in here. So we're trying to grow responsibly. I've got a duty to my other agents to not just hire a bunch of people, but yeah, so it's been the best year of growth of my entire career, and it's been great because I'm not selling real estate anymore. So I've got this great balance of life and work, and I'm actually, my goal is to try to help other agents achieve more of a balance, right? Agents want one or two things. They want more time or want more money or both, right? So that's our focus on, is the automation and education for agents.
That's awesome, man. And then that's the theme, right? It's the quality over the quantity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you're going to win, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, where you find us, rew.com, or as you know, you can always find, I'm a bit of a Facebook junkie. And so you can always hit me up on chat, customer or not. You know what? I'm not much of a LinkedIn person. So if you message me on LinkedIn, I'll probably do your spam. But yeah, rew.com or Facebook. And this has been fun, man. It's great to see you. And I can't wait to see you in person.
Awesome. You too, buddy. Have a good one.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.